going on, you guys? Rasati out here in Singapore. Welcome back to the Night Owl Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. And as annoying as it seems to be, I feel like I'm always excited and energized when I get on the mic with you guys because I am happy about the things I'm learning. And obviously, it's not just that I want to learn them, I want to understand, I want to absorb, I want to apply them. And then once I've really understood the concept, I want to share it with people because obviously, if it's going to help me, it could possibly help you as well. It may be the answer that you've been looking for all this time. So while I'm constantly evolving, constantly putting in new information, trying to, become the best version of myself, and obviously I am failing sometimes too, but I keep on trying, I keep on pushing. I want to be able to give you something that has opened my eyes a little bit, like the moments of quick enlightenment that I've been privy to throughout my life. It comes and goes, right? It's like that feeling when you go to church on a Sunday morning and you listen to the pastor and he comes up with some piece of the Bible that really is relevant to you today, and it really hits you. It was something you really needed to hear, and you get away from, or you walk away from the church feeling like, yeah, you know what? I know what the answer is now. I had this problem, I've been wondering about it, I don't know how to fix it, and now I have this idea on something that I could actually apply in my life and maybe make my life a little bit easier, maybe ease some of the relationships that are disturbing to me in my life. You get outside those church doors, and while you were, in this epiphany moment, people start saying, hi, how are you? It's so nice to see you. I'm glad you were in church today. How's your day? And you start talking about, just a little, catch up kind of water cooler talk that you usually have around the office. And suddenly that epiphany kind of disappears. Just as soon as it came, it disappears. So that's part of the reason I want to jump on the podcast as soon as I have something that really made sense to me, something that clicked in my brain. It's almost like all of the pieces of my life kind of slowly come together in this weird puzzle. And sometimes I see the whole picture and sometimes I don't. But even still, as I learn something, I want to share it with you guys. So in this particular episode, I want to talk to you about time. Once again, I mentioned it, I think, in the last podcast episode as well. But I want to talk to you about holistic timeliness. Now, when we talk about times and goal setting and stuff, it normally has to do with work. Sometimes, very rarely, because we don't think about this way, sometimes we do set goals for inside the house. Maybe it's a home improvement project, or maybe, something broke down in the kitchen, you need to remodel the kitchen, or whatever the case may be. Those are the only times that goals kind of step foot inside of our houses, but it should be a little bit more holistic than that. So that's why I wanted to say holistic timeliness. Timeliness, time management, time mastery should be something that pervades your entire life. All the way from when you wake up in the morning, what you do the first, couple of hours in the morning, to all the way through your workday, to the end of work, after work, when you get home, dinner making, sitting down and eating dinner with the family. What do you do just before you go to bed? And then, of course, what time do you go to bed? It was very important to me for me to sit down and listen to the masterclass by with Mindvalley on sleep. And I didn't realize exactly how many things sleep affected, especially if you didn't get good sleep, quality sleep. And then it talked about, sleep cycles, how long a good sleep cycle was, how to discover for yourself what your body needs specifically, because it's not necessarily an 8 hours worth of sleep. It doesn't have to be like that. Now, kids are a little bit different because until they hit puberty, they need different amounts of sleep because they're still growing. Their body is just, growing at an incredible pace. Their brain, their bones, their skin, their muscles, all of that. So they need the sleep to be able to recuperate and regenerate and to heal if there's been any kind of injury or strenuous activity the day before, whatever the case may be. So the holistic timeliness, as in like time management skills throughout your life, is really, really important. And I didn't realize how much. It's one of those concepts that was explained in The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, and I think they explained it as the ancient rule of 20. He was talking about 20% of the activities you do in your life contribute to 80% of the impact, the high impact activities, the high impact that you have on your life. So 20% of the things that you do in a day contribute to the big impacts, or the progression of your life, the evolution of your life. And I didn't think about it that way. And honestly, that's exactly what it is. I can be busy and not productive. Absolutely. I think I've done it for the majority of my life. It's kind of sad, but it's totally possible for me to be busy and not productive. But there is also this ironic idea that some of the busiest people in the world have the most time to spare. If you look at Gary Be, he's busy. I mean, like productive, busy always. He's talking about 10 minutes meeting here and then half an hour meeting there. And then while he's in a commute, he's doing stuff like he's constantly doing. It's mind blowing. He is the goal for me as far as time management. But if you were to call him, if you were to message him, he does take the time to respond. He makes sure there's time to be able to wiggle room throughout his schedule. And that's something I want to aspire to. For me, I was a workaholic. I worked. I was busy all the time. I did things all the time, and not all of them were things that contributed to my health and wellness or my happiness or contentment, my feeling of fulfillment. And a lot of times what would happen is I would put off things when I was drained. I would feel drained very quickly because I was doing a lot, but nothing that actually contributed to my own sense of wellness. Eventually, once I had the baby, it became the other extreme. I was still productive and very busy, but I stopped planning so much because things would pop up. I mean, the baby would suddenly need to go to the bathroom, or I had to, she'd have an accident, I had to change her diaper, or I had to rearrange stuff because she was having a hissy fit and I just couldn't take her where I needed to take her. So I stopped being so rigid about my schedule and I started to go with the flow a little bit more. Now that helped, that is another skill set, but it still did not get me to where I needed to be. Eventually, when I finally quit my job, working for somebody else and started to work for myself, it was another epiphany about how to manage my time because suddenly there's no one telling me what the deadlines are. I got to make that up for myself. That was seriously adulting 101, and I was not prepared for that. I get to tell myself when I go to sleep and what time I wake up. Oh my God. Yeah, not ready for that at all because alongside that, baby girl has to go to school, which means she has to be in school by a certain time. So I need to be kind of cognizant and manage all of these things. This is the epitome of adulting, to be a small business owner and a single parent. It doesn't get much more crazy than that. So I thought it was really, really interesting, the concept of holistic timeliness, because I didn't realize how much of all of this really comes together. Yes, I only have 24 hours in a day, but then so does Beyonce, so does Gary Vee, so does Mastin Kipp, so does Oprah, and look how much they've accomplished. They really have focused in on the 20% of their activities that really give them high impact in their life, and they've made sure they have time for those 20% of activities. The things that make the most impact, the things that mean the most to you, they make sure without fail that every day that thing gets done. I'm not that great yet. I'm working on it. Here at the moment, I am reworking because it's a new normal. Once again, we're in phase one of coming out of circuit breaker, and school is still not full time. We still don't have student care right after school. So if I were to be called in for a shoot at the moment, I really don't have anyone to take care of baby girl. I kind of have to be careful. So it's with that in mind that I'm kind of slowly easing back into a new normal. I have been trying really hard to change the way that I go to sleep and wake up because I want to wake up a couple hours before I have to go anywhere because then I have time for myself as well. Now, right now with baby girl in school, I do have the time that she's in school for me to work. This is what I was talking about last year when I finally revamped my office hours to suit my schedule, which means when baby girl's in school for 6 hours, that is part of my workday. When she gets home at 2 o'clock until about 8 o'clock at night, that is not part of my workday. It is blocked off just for her. So in case she needs help with her studies, in case she wants to go out to the park or go visiting somewhere, we have the time to do that. And then by 8 o'clock, she needs to be in bed so we can start the day again. At 8 o'clock, though, that becomes my second half of my office day for the people who are on the other side of the world so that I can actually spend another 4 hours on my business and make sure that I'm pushing towards the next level, whatever it is that I need to create, whatever it is that I need to contribute, the services, the IGTVs, the posts, all of that stuff, it gets done somehow. I'm making sure. But with all that being said, with circuit breaker, everything changed. With the fact that baby girl was home all the time, the way that she wants to work and the kinds of things that she's into, I had to adjust. So I'm back again, reworking time. But it's something that is a life skill that no one actually teaches. I don't remember learning any of that in school. No one taught me about the importance of sleep. We had health class and we had science class, but no one talked about the neuroscience between the health of your body and the quality of your sleep and how important the two of them correlated to each other. But even then, you're thinking about a third of your life is when the time that you spend asleep, and you're wondering about how can you possibly push yourself 5 years ahead of everybody else by being productive as possible. So I thought it was really, really important to consider in your life, how timely are you with all of your life areas? As in, for fitness, do you make sure you have time set aside? And have you built up your willpower to such a point that whether you feel like working out or not, you will get up and work out? it's become a habit for you. As far as eating, I saw a post today where one of my friends was like, I'm tired of just looking in the fridge and wondering, okay, what shall I cook today? They've gotten into a habit of planning ahead of time what they want to cook, and they know, ideally, how long the food will last before they have to go figure out what to cook next again. Usually I look at it at a week at a time, and I've done this for many, many years now, because when you don't have a lot of money, you got to really plan. You can't just go willy-nilly at the store while you're hungry and expect to be able to buy stuff that makes sense to be able to cook later. You tend to buy what looks good on the shelf, and then later you wonder, okay, well, I have this, but I don't have that. How am I supposed to make the meal? So meal planning became a part of my life as well. It's become a little bit more efficient for me to be able to do this. You heard many, many podcast episodes with me talking about leveraging the time management machines that I have at my disposal. The fact that I have a washing machine, perfect. The fact that I have a slow cooker, rice cooker, perfect. These are things that I don't have to actively do. I can actually set up and leave, and it does its own thing, and I have freed myself up to do something else instead. And those are the things I've learned to depend on. So as I said again, holistic timeliness can put you ahead so much further than you ever expected if you actually plan your day a little bit. And I think you know this to a degree. A lot of times if you have a really busy day, you spend a couple of minutes the night before thinking about, all right, well, this is the schedule of my day. These are the pockets of time I have. What else do I need to get done? How can I squeeze them in? And you're good to go. But imagine if you took a whole hour out on Sunday to plan your week so you had a really good idea of what's going on when. Or better yet, if you are a social media somebody and you need to be able to create content, what if you took out one day a week every week, or you start planning the month before the kinds of things you want to talk about, and so you have a month's worth of content and you don't have to worry about, oh my gosh, did I post today? Did I not post today? What time did I post? And is it effective? Now, me personally, I don't plan ahead of time more than a couple of days, mostly because I want to stay relevant. I want to stay current with what's going on in the world around me. Not necessarily like the whole world, and it's not always what's going on in the US. It's more like, okay, what are people talking about right now? What is circuit breaker bringing up for people? What traumas are people dealing with at the moment? Domestic abuse is on the rise. People are really having a tough time with long distance relationships. Technically, it's not really long distance. They're both in the same country, but they can't go visit each other, so it's become long distance. How do you deal with text messages not being answered, or people not picking up phone calls? Like all of those little things, the little things that mean rejection to you or abandonment to you, all of those little things. And those are the things I'm trying to focus on, so I don't plan more than a couple days in advance. But even so, I get sidetracked. I get people who call me at the last minute talking about, either I want a session, I need to talk to you. And I don't mind doing those things. But in order for me to accommodate those people, I also have to have a plan for my own business. So if you haven't noticed by now, recurring theme is sleep and timeliness. And the fact that I have to still work on mastering how good I am with time, how well I use my time, how often I use my time wisely. Means that you probably could take a look at your own life a little bit as well and see where you could make things a little bit easier for you. The last thing that I want to do in my life is to rush. I hate rushing. And to be very honest, lately I've been waking up very, very early, enough for baby girl to actually see the sunrise. Normally I drop her off at the back gate of the school. And lately, because we wake up on time and are not rushing out the door, she has the ability to chill out and eat her breakfast in peace and then walk outside and enjoy the sunrise, because she really loves that concept. And the fact that we spend about 10 minutes in the sunshine as the sun is rising to get to her school, she's in a pretty good mood by the time I drop her off at school. Whereas before, she'd be rushing, she'd be worried, she'd be panicking herself into this like sickening feeling, and she wouldn't really have a really great day afterwards. So I think watching her and having her life kind of dictate some of the terms of my own has made me very, very conscious of what time I have available to me. Nothing is more evident than that when I have to sit down and do homework with her. Because to be very honest, there are days where she takes forever to get her homework done, and some days where it goes really fast because she's in a good mood. So it really comes down to how the kid feels, how we all feel about what we have to do. And if we can get into a positive mind frame enough to be able to take care of the things that really matter to us, we can get a lot more done. So if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. I want to hear from you. But in the meantime, I would also love to hear how you feel about time management and how you rank, in general, because I'm telling you right now, I'm not that great, but I'm working on it. All right, you guys, I'll catch you again soon. Bye.